Chapter 1001. Unhumph. Luo Qingqian's brows twitched, naturally hearing the reproach in Nan Luozhe's voice. But she wasn't angry at him saying this, she just said with a soft laugh, "Then I ask classmate Nan Luozhe to help me take care of my Xiao Xiao, I'll be there soon." As soon as her voice fell, she picked up the bag filled with rats and disappeared into the depths of the alley. According to the route the system gave her, she quickly found where Mi Xuena and Yan Shuiqing were. In a high-class outdoor coffee shop, there were two people wearing heavy makeup who were angrily chatting. "Damn! What's wrong with us recently? We keep falling into the hands of commoners. It really makes people angry." Mi Xuena gritted her teeth with an angry look that was very ugly. Yan Shuiqing immediately said, "That's right. That Su Xiao Xiao is so ugly and her uniform is so old, it's just a custom-made sweater from last winter, and she's not embarrassed to wear it. I really want to vomit when I see it." As long as she thought of how gentle Nan Luozhe was to Su Xiao Xiao, she couldn't help feeling angry. "I can only blame Nan Luozhe for coming just in time and not throwing the bag of rats at Su Xiao Xiao. It really is a waste." Mi Xuena clenched her fist and unwillingly tapped the table. Luo Qingqian not far away heard what she said and her lips curled into a faint smile as she muttered, "It definitely won't be a waste." Ding, 500 exchange points has been taken. Successfully exchanged for space and time freeze, can only be used in this world. After that, Luo Qingqian swaggered over to Mi Xuena's side. She pulled on her collar and threw the motionless rats inside. When they reached her neck, she turned to the next target, Yan Shuiqing. There were still rats all over her clothes, but there were still two left. She gave a shrug and threw the rats into Yan Shuiqing's dress. Once she was done, she swaggered out of the coffee shop. When she reached a corner, she snapped her fingers. Everything returned to normal, and what followed was a burst of screams that pierced through the sky. "Ah, ah, 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 ah." She smirked and walked back the way she came. The kind of ability one possessed was the kind of qualifications one had to be arrogant. Since the other party had provoked him first, there was no reason for him to retreat unscathed. When she returned to the alley, Su Xiao Xiao was still standing there waiting for her. Nan Luozhe was also waiting by her side with an ugly expression. Suddenly, he felt sorry for the girl beside him. He had been suggesting to send her back to the dormitory or go to a nearby hotel to take a bath, but she stubbornly wanted to wait for Luo Qingqian to come back. Just like how Head had stubbornly squatted on the ground and lowered his head. No matter what Mi Xuena said, she didn't intend to compromise. It was probably because of this stubbornness that he couldn't help but want to stand out and meddle in other people's business. "Why are you only back now?" Nan Luozhe narrowed his eyes. Although he was unhappy, his voice was still calm. "You'll know tomorrow." Luo Qingqian took Su Xiaoxiao's hand, and Su Xiaoxiao decisively walked to her side. Her head was still lowered, but she was no longer trembling. Chapter 1002. At that moment, Luo Qingqian's impression of Nan Luozhe suddenly changed. He wasn't like the other rich second generations, note, including the arrogant Li Xinai. He gave people a very comfortable feeling. Faint elegance, gentlemanly movements, and high EQ. "Many thanks for your concern." Luo Qingqian nodded and turned to leave. But Nan Luozhe actually called out to them. "I'll send you off. It's not good for her to walk on the street like this." Nan Luozhe's voice was a bit anxious. This girl named Luo Qingqian in front of him had a mysterious aura. He always felt that she could see through the turbulent heart under his calm appearance with just a single glance. No matter how he pretended, he was a bit weak in front of her. When they met, the last piece would win. Unfortunately, he was the one who placed his piece first. Su Xiaoxiao pulled her sleeves and shook her head gently. Luo Qingqian spread her hands at Nan Luozhe. "It's a pity that our Xiao Xiao isn't willing." "No," Su Xiaoxiao quickly explained, "I'll dirty your car." In front of Luo Qingqian's old scheming method, Su Xiao naturally fell into her trap. Actually, she wasn't completely certain that Nan Luozhe was a good person since he was different from Li Xinai. For Li Xinai, as long as she saw that familiar mark, she would know that even if he had a bad reputation in this world, he was definitely a good person. But Nan Luozhe, she wasn't too clear. This person was known as a playboy, a rich second generation who never had a girlfriend for more than 3 days. What kind of person was he? But if this was Su Xiao's fate, she didn't need to stop it. Before Luo Qingchen could react to Nan Luozhe's words, he decisively came forward. He changed his gentle style and domineeringly took Su Xiao's hand, walking towards the Ferrari on the side. Luo Qingchen was a bit stunned and even had the urge to give Nan Luozhe 666. Really, he was a bit handsome. As for Su Xiao, she was completely stunned when she was pulled into the car. She carefully sat in the corner and kept wiping her clothes, afraid that she would dirty Nan Luozhe's car. Luo Qingchen gave her the address of a high-end luxury apartment. She paid 20 million yuan in a lump sum and bought the apartment. Of course, this was followed by the system's solemn notification. Ding, very regretfully, the second side mission has failed. 10% of the total experience has been deducted. It will be calculated after the mission is over. Nan Luozhe narrowed his eyes and said to Su Xiao behind him, "Sit tight." As soon as he finished speaking, he quickly drifted away. Su Xiao sank into the soft back seat, blinking her big clean eyes desperately. She said fearfully, "You drive slowly. Then sit tight. Don't just do a little, I don't need insurance for the back seat." Nan Luozhe's lips curled, but he still didn't plan on slowing down. Luo Qingchen, who was sitting in the front passenger seat, had a black face the whole time. She was cursing 10,000 times in her heart. This kind of crazy teasing little sister, why did she have to suffer? She gave a cold laugh and her lips curled as she said, "Then classmate Nan Luozhe, how much did you pay for the front passenger seat?" Driving at 180 miles an hour, even if it was the third-ring highway, it would be heaven-defying, all right? 50 million. Nan Luozhe's brows twitched as he looked at Su Xiao's expression in the rearview mirror. As expected, her stunned expression was very cute. Chapter 1003. Nan Luozhe's sports car stopped in front of the door of the Mu-O apartment. He turned to look at Luo Qingchen in disbelief. "You live here?" This wasn't a place that a random person could live in, it was one of the highest-grade apartments in a city. The most important thing was that Li Xinai also lived here. "Can't I?" Luo Qingchen said to Su Xiao behind her. "Let's get out." She had asked the agent to pack her things from the hotel and bring them to the apartment. There were most of the things in the apartment, but they weren't properly arranged. When they entered the elevator and Luo Qingchen pressed the button for the 22nd floor, Nan Luozhe was stunned. He narrowed his beautiful eyes and said, "You live on the 22nd floor? If I don't live on the 22nd floor, why would I press the button?" Luo Qingchen rolled her eyes at him. "Could it be that I want to go sightseeing on the 22nd floor?" A faint smile flashed in Nan Luozhe's eyes as he quickly said, "No, nothing. No, I haven't asked you yet." When the elevator door opened, she tilted her head to look at Nan Luozhe. "What are you following us up for?" Although he was helping her to the end, sending the Buddha to the west. But in this situation, it should be fine as long as he sent her downstairs. "I'm here to see an old friend." Nan Luozhe's brows twitched as he stopped in front of her house. Luo Qingchen knit her brows as she watched him press the doorbell. Even Su Xiao was stunned at that moment. Was there such a coincidence? It couldn't be that Nan Luozhe was a brother, right? The door was lazily opened with a ping and Li Xinai was wearing a white bathrobe. He who had just taken a shower had an inexplicably seductive aura, as well as a refreshing scent. But right after that, when he met Luo Qingchen's eyes, his narrowed eyes immediately opened wide. The door was closed with a ping sound. "Pooh!" Luo Qingchen couldn't help laughing as she held her stomach. I'm dying of laughter. She never thought that Li Si-nai would live next door to her. This was simply fate. Hee hee. Although Su Xiaoxiao still had her head down, she chuckled softly and sweetly. Just wait for your brother. Luo Qingchen pointed to the door behind her and said, I'll take Xiao Xiao to change her clothes first. Nan Luo Zhe's lips twitched as he revealed an awkward smile. However, the little flower that had been as quiet as a sleeping lotus just now seemed to have inadvertently smiled. She didn't know why, but her heart felt warm. At this time, Li Si-nai standing behind the other door felt strangely nervous. As she regretted her actions, she thought about what clothes she should change into before opening the door. Nan Luo Zhe had been waiting at the door for half an hour and he had received a message. You're not allowed to leave. But you and little sister Luo Qingchen are quite fated. She actually lives across from you. Nan Luo Zhe rented. Li Si-nai, he didn't think that the idiot across the street who entered the commoner class could afford a house here. Since you're so concise, I'm going back. Nan Luo Zhe. Actually, Nan Luo Zhe didn't want to go back since he wanted to say goodbye to Su Xiaoxiao before leaving. But he never thought that Li Si-nai would suddenly open the door, scaring Nan Luo Zhe. He wore a black Osik limited edition casual sweater. His slightly chestnut-colored hair was slightly curly, and he exuded the charm of youth to its fullest. Chapter 1004. The bar. It was the entertainment place that noble children like them went to the most. But Li Si-nai wasn't planning on going today. He raised a brow and said, You. Go knock on the door. In this situation, of course he had to go along. Being passive was more handsome. Me. Nan Luo Zhe looked at Li Si-nai in a daze. Why aren't you going? Nan Luo Zhe admitted that he wanted to see if the little girl was done and comfort her. But at this moment, he felt like he was being used as a target. I've heard about what happened today. Li Si-nai looked at him with a gaze of deep meaning. That's Su. What is it? She's called Su Xiaoxiao. Oh. Li Si-nai said with a nod. Classmate Su Xiaoxiao isn't young Master Nan's new love. There's no problem with you going to see your girlfriend. As soon as his voice fell, he looked at him with a serious look, showing that his words were correct and there was nothing wrong with them. You saying this does make sense. Nan Luo Zhe's deep eyes lit up. When Li Si-nai said the word girlfriend, there was an inexplicable joy in his heart. But his expression changed. But it's not good for us to go empty-handed, they haven't eaten yet. He had been in a rush and forgot to buy dinner for them. Now that he thought about it, his first impression points had been deducted. This is simple. Li Si-nai picked up his phone and said to the person on the phone in less than 3 seconds, Go to Royal Tribute and pack up all the dishes this young master likes to eat. I'll give you 10 minutes. After giving this order, Li Si-nai decisively hung up. Nan Luo Zhe couldn't help giving him a thumbs up. Young Master Li really has a way. Taking advantage of the 10-minute break, the two handsome youths stood in the hallway trying to figure out each other's thoughts. I've never seen young Master Nan care about a girl like this before. Li Si-nai's deep eyes had a faint Liguang look as he said, It can't be that you're moved this time, right? Nan Luo Zhe heard this and his expression became unnatural, but then he said, I treat girls the same, it's not like you don't know that. He paused for a moment before continuing, Unlike our young Master C, don't you usually hate it when girls get close to you? So, he met his true love. I heard that last time at the sports field. Nan Luo Zhe. Li Si-nai lowered his voice, Be quiet. Although the soundproofing here was good, if one listened carefully, they would still be able to hear it. Yo. Although Nan Luo Zhe lowered his voice, he didn't stop teasing him. He looked at him with sparkling eyes and said, Young Master C is admitting that you like classmate Luo Qingchen? Li Si-nai was a bit surprised. This question seemed to have been in his mind for a long time. In fact, he already had an answer. After a long time, his eyebrows moved slightly. I can't say that I like her, but I don't dislike contact. Li Si wasn't the kind of person who would fall in love at first sight. It was nonsense to talk about love over time. Everyone knew that he hated being with girls. But this time, he was very sure that this girl was different. At the very least, she wasn't wearing a luxurious perfume, but she had a faint grassy fragrance. At least when she kissed him forcefully, he had a lingering feeling. Perhaps it was special, perhaps it was like he liked her. He wasn't certain, but he knew that he might fall in love with a girl in this life. Chapter 1005. You're quite honest. Nan Luoze gave a thoughtful nod as his lips curled. This good brother of his, he had been filled with disgust towards girls for thousands of years. This disgust was so strong that he even thought that he liked men. But with the appearance of some people, it seemed like the old sago tree was about to bloom. So what about you? Li Si put his hands in his pocket and leaned against the wall. What do you like about that Su? Please, can your memory not be that bad? She is called Su Xiao, all right? Nan Luoze seriously corrected Li Si's mistake before saying, I can't say that I like her, I just feel that girl is quite special. Special? Li Si gave a shrug. Su Xiao, there are many girls like her. In his eyes, a girl like Luo Qingchen, who always had an unexpected way of attacking people, was the one who was special. After all, in young Master Li Si's life, he had never met a match when it came to insulting people. Luo Qingchen was the first. Cuckoo. Nan Luoze cleared his throat and said, I know that Luo Qingchen is special, but Su Xiao is another special existence. Although today was his first time meeting Su Xiao and he had saved the beauty in a rather chaotic situation. But he always felt that she was a girl who made people want to protect her. Perhaps she didn't fit in with this world, but she was another beautiful scenery in his eyes. At the same time, behind the door, Luo Qingchen chose a small dress for Su Xiao. This dress was bought by her mother from Paris. There weren't many in the world, it was the exclusive design of the famous designer Ina Manning. She was wearing a crystal pink sweater, a moon-white short skirt, and a pair of white canvas shoes. Her hair hadn't been blown dry yet and her clear eyes had a bit of shyness and nervousness. But in front of Luo Qingchen, she could bravely raise her head. You really are cute. Luo Qingchen gave a satisfied nod before pulling her to the dressing table. Although there was nothing on the table, there was a very clear mirror. Su Xiao looked down in a bit of panic when she saw the mirror, not looking at herself in the mirror. At that moment, Luo Qingchen's heart suddenly trembled. A sense of déjà vu spread from her heart, as if this feeling had always been around her. She knew that this was the previous host's feeling. Luo Qingchen gave a soft laugh. She took out a large cosmetic bag from her large luggage and placed bottles of lotion on top of it. The empty dressing table was instantly filled. At this moment, Su Xiao lifted her head slowly, but her tiny hands were placed on her thighs and clenched tightly. Luo Qingchen knew that she was inferior and she used all her strength to raise her head to get rid of this inferiority feeling. However, the heavy defensive line in her heart made it hard for her to breathe. Xiao, do you like pink or green? Luo Qingchen's fingers tapped on the dressing table, using a very strange method to enter the next topic. Me! She was a bit surprised before looking up at her and saying, I like pink. It was a very sweet color, a color that she liked the most. Chapter 1006. Su Xiao was stunned. She took the 400 milliliters of powder water with her petite hand. Then she nodded gently and opened the lid carefully. Her movements were very clumsy, but it was also somewhat cute. She carefully poured the powder water into the palm of her hand. She poured a little, but her eyes were full of satisfaction. She patted her cheeks carefully with her small hands, and her clear eyes finally focused on the mirror at this moment. Thank you. After a long time, she nodded gently and looked at Luo Qingchen, saying, This is the first time I've used this kind of water. It feels cool. Luo Qingchen chuckled and rolled her eyes playfully, saying, there are other good things. Let me look for them. As soon as she finished speaking, she squatted down and searched for her big bump. Finally, she found a strawberry hair clip among the mess of hair clips and ribbons. This is... Su Xiaoxiao's eyes trembled. She looked at her embarrassedly and said, I can't accept it. I didn't say I'll give it to you. Luo Qingchen picked up the hair dryer and helped her dry her hair, saying, I'll lend it to you. When you have a new hair clip one day, give it back to me. Su Xiaoxiao lowered her head slightly and seemed to be embarrassed. But the next second, Luo Qingchen put the hair clip into her hand very aggressively and changed the topic, asking, Is Xiaoxiao's grades very good? To be honest, the system only gave her a branch. She had no idea about Su Xiaoxiao's character information. It was reasonable to say that depression must be caused by great mental stimulation. There was always something in the heart that no one could talk about, and it accumulated to form the disease. For Su Xiaoxiao, such an introverted character was definitely one of the most important reasons why she had been ill for a long time. Well, she nodded gently. It seemed that she was a little embarrassed to admit it, but if she denied it, she would feel that she was too hypocritical. After all, she did enter the capital aristocratic academy with full marks in the cultural class. All the tuition and miscellaneous fees were waived, and she still had a scholarship of 10,000 yuan a year. If it's not convenient to say, then don't say it. Luo Qingchen chuckled and blew her straight hair into a slight curl. After a long time, Su Xiaoxiao clenched her fists tighter and tighter. At some point, she suddenly loosened her fists and said, Would you like to hear my story? It was not a questioning tone, but a pleading tone. All these years, no one had ever heard of her story. After all, there were some things that couldn't be revealed to outsiders. Su Xiaoxiao's story was very short. It was not as long as Luo Qingchen had imagined. Of course, it was also possible that she was just rambling. Her family was poor since she was young. Her father was a shoemaker and her mother had a bad habit. That was his love for gambling. Of course, not only was she addicted to gambling, she was also a fickle person. Her father was an honest man. Every time her mother cried, he would forgive her. Until one day, her mother was brought home by a man who was also a gambler. When the two of them were in bed, they were caught by her father, who came home early. At that moment, her father couldn't bear it anymore. He took out a kitchen knife from the kitchen and slashed the man more than 100 times until he fell in a pool of blood and could no longer move. When he looked at her mother, he still didn't have the heart to kill her. Instead, he picked up a can of diesel that they had just bought and rushed to the roof. Chapter 1007. Su Xiaoxiao saw all of this. She had seen her mother bring someone home. She had seen her father, who had always been silent. The father she respected the most was like a wild beast, slashing around with a knife. This was the knot in her heart from the beginning. After that, her mother ran away, and she was brought up by her grandmother. It was a very tragic life. At the end of the story, she lowered her head again and secretly shed a tear. No one knows what the future will be like. Luo Qingchen took the strawberry hairpin from her hand and put it on her head, but at least you have your grandmother and you have me. Friendship was a very wonderful thing. It was different from love, it didn't need passionate actions to prove it, it just needed a few simple words. They were friends. Ding dong. There was a crisp sound from the doorbell. Luo Qingchen slightly knit her brows, not knowing who would come. The moment she stood in the peephole and looked over, the corners of her mouth unconsciously raised into a smile. Do you have a guest? Su Xiaoxiao came out of the room with soft step. She put her hands in front of her, and her eyes trembled as she said, Then I'll go back first. After all, she had really troubled her today. For her, as long as she troubled someone, she would feel very embarrassed. Growing up in this kind of family, she was very careful no matter what she did. She didn't dare speak loudly and didn't dare trouble others. A guest is indeed a guest. Luo Qingchen looked at her with a deep gaze before saying with a faint smile, But they should be looking for you. She opened the door and saw Nan Luoze and Li Sinai holding 2 large bags of food. You shouldn't have eaten yet, right? Nan Luoze looked at her like a gentleman. I bought some things, do you want to eat together? He said this as he stretched his neck a bit, as if he wanted to see a certain petite figure through Luo Qingchen. I don't mind, Luo Qingchen said. After all, I'm not the one spending money, so what is there to mind? Li Sinai said with a proud look, I'll let you have a taste of the delicacies of the noble world. Although it can't compare to that small Japanese restaurant, it's still high class. Without knowing why, hearing how serious she was talking to Nan Luoze, his heart felt very uncomfortable. He always felt that even if they were to fight and hurt each other, only he could do it. He didn't want anyone else to take over such a special position. Perhaps it was selfish, perhaps it was overbearing, but this was the truest feeling in his heart at this moment. Oh? Classmate Li Sinai's meaning is that expensive things have to be high quality? After Luo Qingchen let them go, she didn't forget to talk back. Of course, it's a symbol of status. Li Sinai looked around after entering the hall. The house was as big as his and the decorations were very luxurious, giving off a noble aura. Luo Qingchen lived in such a house. He didn't know why he felt a little depressed. For some reason, he felt that he had suddenly become less radiant. For some reason, he felt that he would not be able to illuminate her. The next second, Luo Qingchen rolled her eyes at him as usual and said, Then why don't you eat the diamond into your stomach? It's expensive and a symbol of status. Idiot! Li Sinai roared in a low and magnetic voice. I'm talking about delicacies. If the delicacies of the noble world are called diamonds by you, then your world is called stone. Chapter 1008. Hey, don't fight as soon as you two see each other. Nan Luoze awkwardly looked at the two of them with a stunned look. In less than 3 seconds, they had completely controlled the situation. Stop fighting. Su Xiao on the side bit her lip and advised in a small voice. Nan Luoze's eyes finally fell onto Su Xiao and his eyes lit up. At the same time, even Li Sinai standing beside Luo Qingchen had a change in expression. Deng, 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 deng. Luo Qingchen rolled her eyes at Li Sinai before coming to Su Xiao's side with a sweet smile. She pushed her shoulder and looked at Nan Luoze as she said, How about it, don't you feel like a little princess? He narrowed his eyes and there was a faint liguang in them, very good looking. Really, really good looking. In Nan Luoze's world, he had never seen such a good-looking girl. She didn't have any makeup on and her aura was filled with youth and cleanness. Su Xiao lowered her head in embarrassment and said, I'll head back first. This was her first time being watched by someone. Before, she was always a foil to others no matter where she stood. It was said that red flowers matched green leaves, but for her, she wasn't even a green leaf. She could only be considered dirt or a spring breeze. She was always small and humble in the dust. But today, when 3 pairs of eyes landed on her, she only felt especially embarrassed and nervous to the point that she broke out in cold sweat. What are you in a rush for? Luo Qingchen gave a chuckle before looking at Li Sinai. Since there's a rich second generation who has nothing to do that wants us to taste the delicacies of the noble world, why shouldn't we do it? But Su Xiao looked at Luo Qingchen and said, The dorm will be closed if we go back any later. If it's closed, you can live in my house. Luo Qingchen gave a shrug. There's not enough room in such a big place. That's right, don't worry. Nan Luoze looked at her and waved the food in front of her. Eat before you leave. She had to admit that she was sick of Imperial Tribute's cuisine. After all, she had eaten this kind of food since she was young in France. Although this restaurant catered to people with high prices, it was not even third-rate compared to the food she had eaten in the aristocratic families. If nothing was used to cover it, it would give people a fishy feeling. Look at your expression, it's like you want to eat poison. Li Sinai looked at her with a dark face. Do you need to act so disgusting? This restaurant was the top seafood restaurant in City A, and it only received 10 guests a day. He was one of the most expensive and luxurious VIP members in this shop, which was why he could buy such fresh delicacies so quickly. This idiot in front of him actually despised it. Cuckoo. She cleared her throat and said, "Classmate Serene, I didn't say that it was bad, but using such expensive ingredients to make a dish of this taste, it really isn't a delicacy. Everything had its own way of cooking, just like steamed buns and abalone." Chapter 1009. It's like you're a food connoisseur. Serene narrowed his eyes and crossed his arms as he leaned back in his chair. Have you eaten this before? It cost over 10,000 per person to eat in the Imperial Tribute, and he had already packed over 20,000 in front of them. She actually dared to say that this wasn't a delicacy. He wanted to know, if this wasn't a delicacy, what was a delicacy? This treasure has eaten more salt than you have rice. Luo Qingchen saw his angry appearance and knew that she had ruined the young master's mood. But she had to tell the truth for this kind of dish. Then tell me what's not good about them? Serene felt like he had brought them to eat a big meal, but he was being looked down on. His heart was a bit blocked, but Luo Qingchen's expression didn't seem like she was joking. I'll just ask you, how much is it? 20,000. Getting. Su Xiao Zhao's chopsticks fell to the ground as she looked at Serene in shock. 20,000, 20,000, 20,000 to her, this could be 2 years of living expenses. To her, this could even change her current situation for the past 2 years. But in their eyes, this was just a meal. Luo Qingchen quickly said, Xiao Xiao, don't mind it too much. Their world is like this, you should be used to it in the imperial capital. She was indeed used to this kind of luxurious spending, but when she was eating a meal that cost 20,000, she couldn't eat it. I know, Su Xiao said with a nod, but I won't eat it. She sat down obediently and shook her head awkwardly. Luo Qingchen suddenly thought of something as she said to Serene, how about it, this is different. What do you mean? What I want to say is… Luo Qingchen pointed at the dishes in front of her. If this meal was only 2,000, I would give you a thumbs up because whether it was the taste or texture, it was worth this price. But if it was 20,000, I don't think it's worth it. 2,000 isn't worth it. Su Xiao said in a small voice. There are ingredients, it's actually very simple. When she said this, Luo Qingchen and Serene stopped arguing and looked at Su Xiao in shock. Of course, this included Nan Luoze. Because his eyes had always been on Su Xiao, they never left her. However, Su Xiao didn't look him in the eye for a long time. Maybe it was not that she didn't want to, but that she didn't dare. Xiao, you really know how to make it, Luo Qingchen said. You don't even have a recipe. Su Xiao smiled embarrassedly and pointed to the plate of 9-section shrimp in front of her. I know every ingredient in this dish, but I don't know about the ones I haven't eaten before. Luo Qingchen suddenly felt that Su Xiao was dazzling, a strange kind of dazzling. It was like she had put down her defenses and was one with them for the first time. When she finished, Nan Luoze was the first to clap. Then he said with a gentle smile, although there are 2 things I didn't mention, they really are powerful. There is an absolute sense of taste. Chapter 10:10. Indeed, this was the expensive part of this dish. After all, the foie gras and truffles were super expensive ingredients, they were even more expensive than the 9-section shrimp. I'm sorry. Su Xiao lowered her head again in embarrassment. It seemed that the door of her heart that had just opened was closed at this moment. She really wasn't in the same world as them, she wasn't even in the same world as Qingchen beside her. Xiao, actually I feel. Luo Qingchen helped her pick up some food as she said, perhaps it's more delicious without these 2 things. Next time, make it for us, alright? Serene said in a confused voice. Shut up. Luo Qingchen glared at him at the same time. He closed his mouth again. This scene even attracted Nan Luoze, who wanted to speak. No one had ever spoken to Li Sinai like this, whether it was a man or a woman. The people who could talk to him like this weren't in the capital or even a city. What kind of bewitching potion did this girl give to the arrogant young master? She was so powerful. Su Xiao timidly looked up at Li Sinai. Li Sinai immediately changed his tone. Ah, good. Pooh. Nan Luoze couldn't help laughing as he put his right hand on Li Sinai's forehead. Did you eat the wrong medicine? Who cares? Li Sinai's tone changed and he became domineering again. In short, I'll have to thank Xiao first. Nan Luoze raised his glass of red wine. I'm looking forward to your cooking. Su Xiao pursed her lips before her eyes fell onto Luo Qingchen. This was a gaze that needed to be affirmed. She had never shown this kind of gaze to anyone since she was young. Because she knew that no one was looking forward to her performance, no one cared about her result. She only had herself and her grandmother, but it was a good thing she still had her grandmother. I think it's completely okay. Luo Qingchen raised her glass and looked at her. I'm also looking forward to your cooking. As soon as her voice fell, she didn't forget to look at Li Sinai. He said with a helpless smile, I'm looking forward to it. The night sky was filled with stars. After eating their fill, Nan Luoze had a suggestion. How about we play truth or dare? When Nan Luoze said this, his eyes couldn't help looking at Su Xiao. He wanted to forgive this clean and quiet girl in front of him. Her grades were heaven-defying, and she had a superb sense of taste. Why would such an outstanding girl have such low self-esteem? He was looking forward to the truth or dare game to give him an answer. But he never thought that Luo Qingchen and Li Sinai would speak at the same time, breaking his fantasy. No. Childish. Hey. Nan Luoze cleared his throat and said, When did the two of you speak at the same time? You have a common enemy. Luo Qingchen said in her heart, F*ck, goading me? Li Sinai thought, True brother, you're actually trying to goad me. In the next second, the two of them spoke in unison, Yes. This should be the attitude you should have. Nan Luoze was very satisfied to see the two of them looking unhappy. He clapped his hands and said, There's a truth or dare table at young Master Li's house. How about we change venues? I also have to participate? Su Xiao asked in a soft voice. Chapter 10-11. Li Sinai's house was more luxurious than Luo Qingchen imagined. There was a robot that was even bigger than her when she came in. Big Bear, open 2 bottles of 89 red wine and bring them to the entertainment room. Li Sinai had a proud look as his lips curled into a faint smile. It was like he had the aura of an absolute master with a bit of pride. Yes, master. Big Bear nodded in a daze and quickly scanned him before saying, Master's blood temperature has increased. It's currently 39 degrees Celsius. Please lower it as soon as possible. Otherwise there will be complications such as fever and heat. Stop. Li Sinai raised a brow and roared, Quickly finish the first task. Why are you scanning me? It was fine if it scanned him, but it had to say it in front of all these people. Wasn't this clearly saying that he was nervous? Whose robot was this? It didn't know how to look at its master's face. Big Bear took 2 steps forward in an aggrieved manner before stopping. It turned around and said, Welcome to my house, 2 beauties. You can treat this as your own home, there's no need to be restrained. Pucci. Nan Luoze standing on the side couldn't help laughing as he gave Li Sinai a thumbs up. It really is an understanding robot. Li Sinai's face was as ugly as an ice mountain. This broken robot, it seemed like he had to give it a new system. Too arrogant. The group followed Li Sinai to the entertainment room. There was a very large table inside with the words Truth or Dare written in the middle. Let me tell you, young Master Li's Truth or Dare is different from other people's. Nan Luoze looked at Luo Qingchen with a gaze of deep meaning. If you don't mean it, you'll definitely be found out. The young masters of the noble circle often came to Li Sinai's apartment to play since it was like a paradise. They could have anything they wanted, everything was there. Why? Luo Qingchen's eyes trembled as she asked in a confused voice, could it be that this table can see through people's hearts? The table can't do it, but Big Bear can. An extremely mechanical voice sounded, and it was somewhat similar to her system. When Big Bear came over with 2 bottles of wine, he didn't forget to continue saying in a cute manner, "Beautiful lady, Big Bear thinks that you must be very familiar with things like robots." The system is not a robot. The arrogant system's voice suddenly rang in her mind. Hiss! Luo Qingchen sucked in a breath of cold air and awkwardly tugged at the corner of her mouth. I think you have a very good eye. Is there something wrong with you today? Li Sinai snappily gave it a cold look. She's familiar with robots. Please, do you think you're cheap? There was only one such multifunctional robot with unlimited sensing ability in City A, okay? It was a priceless commodity. Master, why are you angry in front of such a beautiful young miss? You're losing your manners. Big Bear awkwardly turned around and patted Li Sinai's shoulder with its soft paw. Hee hee. Su Xiaoxiao chuckled softly. She tiptoed and touched the robot's head. It's so cute. Chapter 10-12. Coo coo. Li Sinai cleared his throat and said, It's like you're qualified to give it to her if she likes it. You! Nan Luoze was already used to Li Sinai's poisonous tongue, but in front of Su Xiaoxiao, he didn't have any face. He pointed at the table and said, I'll definitely make you drunk tonight. He didn't know why, but at this moment, he suddenly became stronger. Although he had the arrogance of a rich young master before, he was as elegant as a spring breeze most of the time. But this time, he really wanted to win. Give it a try? Li Sinai raised a brow and pressed the truth or dare button on Big Bear's body. Then Big Bear mechanically read the rules of the game. The rules of the truth or dare game were as follows. 1. The person on the other side of the mark will ask the question and the person on the other side will answer. If the answer is truth, it has to be the truth. If you don't want to answer, you have to choose dare. 2. There are 2 kinds of dare. One is a large glass of 89 red wine and the second is a kiss to anyone present, no limit to men or women. When Big Bear said the final words, there was a faint sparkle in Li Sinai's deep eyes. Master, what are you embarrassed about? Li Sinai tightly clenched his fists and suppressed the rage in his heart. Who cares? The game soon began and the 4 of them sat facing each other. Luo Qingchen was facing Li Sinai and Su Xiaoxiao was facing Nan Luoze. According to the size of the dice, the first person to turn it was Nan Luoze. Before he turned it, he looked at Su Xiaoxiao and muttered, God bless, God bless. But God didn't seem to care about him. When he turned it first, the person on the arrow was Li Sinai. Nan Luoze clearly had the word disappointed on his face. After all, they had played this game too many times. Most of the people's secrets were clear to him, and it was purely for the sake of drinking and having fun. Most of the questions were, the color of your underwear, the length of your dollar $%, etc. But today, they couldn't ask these questions since there were 2 girls here. And one of them was a very introverted girl. Nan Luoze awkwardly thought about it. Since it was the first question, he didn't want to be too harsh. After all, what goes around comes around. Perhaps Li Sinai would ask him later. When was your first kiss? The moment he asked the question, the 3 people present were all stunned. He vaguely felt that something was wrong. After all, in his long-term impression, the man sitting next to him hated women the most. Therefore, this question should be a giveaway question. Little did they know, when he clearly felt that the surrounding atmosphere was unusual, the gossip he heard a few days ago suddenly appeared in his mind. Could it be that all the gossip was true? Cuckoo. Li Sinai cleared his throat as his eyes were filled with anger. After a while, he said, 7 days ago. Hey, check it out. Although Master's answer was a bit slow, what Master said was the truth. First, when Master returned home 7 days ago, when I did a routine scan on him, I could detect a girl's strawberry scent from his body. Second, he looked at his lips in the mirror for at least 2 hours. Chapter 10:13. At the same time, Li Si Nai's face turned dark. He turned the wheel and the arrow fell in Nan Luozhe's direction. As the saying goes, you have to pay for what you came for. Big brother, we've known each other for so many years. I knew it wasn't intentional the moment I looked over. You know what I mean. Nan Luozhe's eyes were a bit nervous. His beautiful lips were slightly pursed as he looked at Su Xiao on the side. This was his first time feeling that he cared about someone's gaze this much. It was more important than being judged in public. Li Si Nai raised a brow and lazily leaned back on the sofa. There was a sparkle in his deep eyes as his lips curled into a beautiful curve. Big brother, naturally I'm asking the question we usually ask. Who was the one who invented the phrase, what goes around comes around? It actually made sense. Don't, up to now, do you have more than 100 girlfriends or less? Luo Qingchen even took a cold breath for Nan Luozhe at that moment. This question really was ruthless. It was better to ask how many girlfriends he had right now. If it was this question, Nan Luozhe could naturally choose dare. But when the number 100 was mentioned, everyone's eyes would fall on the number 100. Su Xiao was a bit surprised. There was a faint haze in her clear eyes that was very faint. If one didn't look carefully, they wouldn't be able to see it at all. Dare. Nan Luozhe lowered his brows and picked up the red wine beside him, drinking it all. Li Si Nai gave a very satisfied nod as his eyes became even deeper. This was his first time seeing the gentle Nan Luozhe become this impatient. For a girl. Nan Luozhe's arrow turned to Su Xiao. His originally angry face instantly turned gentle. But the next thing they said was, classmate Su Xiao, I'm going to ask a question. Alright, you, do you have someone you like? These words were repeated countless times in Nan Luozhe's heart. But when he said it, it was, you. What is your favorite weather? Pooh! Oh my god! Luo Qingchen and Li Si Nai helplessly looked at Nan Luozhe at the same time, feeling worried about his awkward question. Su Xiao was obviously stunned. Then she shyly tucked her hair behind her ear and said, it's cloudy. She didn't like the sun and always felt that she was a person who couldn't stand under the sun. The scorching sun would burn away all of her protective shell, making her feel dazzled. But she didn't like rainy days either. When it rained, Grandma's joints would always hurt. Her family was not well off and could not afford to buy things to keep her warm. Whenever it rained, she would always use a hot towel to apply to her grandmother's leg to ease her pain. She liked cloudy days. She didn't need to be pierced by the dazzling sunlight, and her grandmother wouldn't feel uncomfortable. Hey, check it out. This little beauty's answer is very honest. Her heartbeat didn't accelerate, and her blood didn't boil. Bear stood aside and turned around. He looked at Su Xiao and said, since this is a sincere truth, you will get a hug from Bear. Chapter 10:14. Big Bear was different from normal robots. It wasn't a square robot, rather it was a doll robot. It was dressed in coffee-colored clothes, looking like a koala, but it was much cuter than a koala. There was a giant LCD screen on its chest that showed all kinds of high-end data. Big Bear automatically raised its body temperature and gave Su Xiao a warm hug. Her face turned red and she couldn't help feeling shy. This was her first time being hugged like this. It was something she had never felt before. Coo. Nan Luozhe awkwardly cleared his throat. That's enough. Big Bear can feel a bit of anger from this man. Big Bear stood up with a harmless look. Is there something about Big Bear that you're not satisfied with? I've never been satisfied with you. Nan Luozhe pursed his lips. Thinking of how the robot had hugged Su Xiao, there was a bit of anger that filled his heart. The gentle and elegant him had actually gone against the robot. Big Bear gave a long response. After thinking for a bit, it continued, "If this mister isn't satisfied, you shouldn't attack Big Bear because Big Bear's system was set by the master. This pot, it was thrown well." The helpless person became Li Si Nai in an instant. He had to reinstall this robot system when he had time. It definitely couldn't be this open. The most important thing was that it could never say anything about the master's privacy. "Xiao Xiao, it's your turn." Luo Qingchen pushed her hand as she looked at her. She never thought that the person Su Xiao Xiao would turn to was her. Li Si Nai and Nan Luozhe clearly felt that this was a very boring question. What kind of exciting question could a girl ask? Not to mention that Su Xiao Xiao was such an introverted girl. Even Luo Qingchen was on the same side as them. After all, in her impression, Su Xiao Xiao would ask her all kinds of boring questions. For example, "What color do you like? What pattern do you like? What subject do you like?" Something like that. However, Luo Qingchen didn't expect that Su Xiao Xiao would ask her a question that even she didn't think of. She lowered her head slightly and looked at Luo Qingchen with a chuckle. "Does Qingchen have someone she likes?" "Ah! I'm going," Li Si Nai said. "Explosive," Nan Luozhe said. "Xiao Xiao." Luo Qingchen's eyebrows twitched slightly as a faint smile appeared on her lip. She looked at Xiao Xiao's panicked expression and said, "I really can't underestimate how your brain works." The next second, Luo Qingchen cleared her throat and looked around at everyone's faces. They all seemed to have a slight expectation, wanting to know the answer. "Cough cough," she coughed dryly and said, "I won't tell you." In the next second, she raised the glass of red wine in her right hand and drank it in one gulp. Bear, who was beside her, did not forget to run over and refill her glass in high spirits. He added his usual professional remarks. Hey, check it out. Classmate Qingchen's alcohol tolerance must be quite good." She didn't want to praise herself at all. The number of times the previous host went to bars wasn't less than the two men in front of her, so naturally her alcohol tolerance was super good. Chapter 10-15. After a glass of wine, Luo Qingchen's face was as white as water and there wasn't a blush on it. Even Nan Luozhe was a bit surprised. He always thought that there was an 80% chance that the two girls in front of him would get drunk with a single glass, but he never thought that he would fall for a 20% chance. It was Luo Qingchen's turn. Fate was very subtle. The person she turned to was Li Si Nai. "It's only a 1 in 4 chance, what is there to be lucky about?" The system gave a helpless shrug before suddenly saying this. Luo Qingchen was too lazy to care about her system. She looked at Li Si Nai and said, "Can you tell the difference between a kiss and artificial respiration?" Ding, affection has increased by 20. Mission completion rate is now 40%. She didn't expect that such a small problem would cause her to gain so many favorable impression points. Other than Li Si Nai and the other two, they were all looking at him in shock. Especially Nan Luozhe. His eyes were wide open and his mouth was slightly open, looking like he was stunned. In his heart, the only person in this world who dared to ask Li Si Nai this kind of question was probably Luo Qingchen. There was no obvious change in Li Si Nai's eyes, but he could feel that his deep eyes had become even darker. It was like an empty universe that was filled with sparkling li guang. After a while, his slender hand touched the glass of red wine on the side as he said, "I won't tell you." Then he drank it all. Su Xiao Xiao on the side was a bit stunned as she thought, "What is with these three?" It was clearly a simple question, why did they drink? This time it was Li Si Nai's turn again. He finally turned to the person he wanted to turn to the most, Luo Qingchen. Everyone held their breaths and stared at him. Even Su Xiao Xiao, who had always been dull, had an expectant expression at this moment. Nan Luozhe was the same. His ears perked up, wanting to hear Li Si Nai's question as soon as possible. Li Si Nai raised a brow. It was probably because of the alcohol, but there was a blush on his handsome face. His mind was filled with the image of her taking his bow tie and bringing it to her side. "You!" Just as he was about to speak, Luo Qingchen did not hesitate to pick up the red wine that Bear had just poured for her. She gulped it down and said, "Don't ask. I definitely don't want to answer." See. Nan Luozhe took a deep breath as he looked at Luo Qingchen with a look of admiration. She was indeed the girl that young Master C had his eyes on. She was really, really different. "Luo Qingchen, you." Li Sinai was filled with anger, but he couldn't show it. She could only bite her lip and look at him angrily. "Li Sinai, why are you calling me by my surname?" Luo Qingchen slightly knit her brows and pursed her lips. "How rude! You're also calling me by my surname. But you were the one who called me first." "Yao Yao, check it out. Big Bear thinks that both sides are in the wrong, so you need to reflect on each other. You need to write a guarantee so you won't make the same mistake in the future." Luo Qingchen bit her lip and looked at Li Sinai with a dissatisfied look. "When are you going to remake this robot? It's simply not cute." Li Sinai gave a proud snort before looking at her. "Tomorrow?" Chapter 10:16. At that moment, her faint smile charmed everyone's eyes. Of course, this didn't include Li Sinai, because Li Sinai's eyes had been on Luo Qingchen the entire time. This game of truth or dare came to an end at this point, because everyone chose dare and didn't choose truth. It was worth mentioning that when Su Xiao drank her first glass of red wine, she fell onto the table and lost consciousness. Luo Qingchen's expression didn't change after drinking several glasses, but there was a faint blush on her white cheeks. She didn't remember what happened after that. She just knew that Big Bear brought over bottle after bottle of red wine, and she and Li Sinai drank one glass after another. As for Nan Luozhe, when Su Xiao fell drunk, he carried her to the sofa on the side. Then he sat on the floor beside the sofa with a glass of red wine in his hand as he chatted. The night passed just like that. When the sun shined on Luo Qingchen the next day, she found that it was already 7:30. "We're late." She suddenly jumped up and pulled Su Xiao, who was still rubbing her eyes as she ran back to her house. Li Sinai slowly opened his eyes and his hand was a bit numb. There seemed to be a small head leaning on his arm last night. It was a bit heavy, but it made him feel a bit at ease. "What do we do, Qingchen? I don't have a uniform." "What do we do, Qingchen? I didn't go back to the dorm last night." "What do we do, Qingchen? Will we be late?" Luo Qingchen never thought that Su Xiao, who had always been silent, would become so talkative because she woke up late in the morning. "We shouldn't be late." Luo Qingchen gave her a new uniform. "Wear this first, we should be around the same size." They really were in a rush. After they brushed their teeth and washed their faces, they put on some moisturizer before heading out. But she never thought that when she opened the door, she would see those two handsome figures who were even faster than them. Could it be that boys were always faster than girls, no matter what situation they were in? This was a question that she had to think about. Sitting in Li Sinai's other Porsche, Luo Qingchen suddenly felt it was a bit funny. They were enemies who were arguing with each other a few days ago, but they were actually going to school together today. "Relax, we won't be late." Nan Luozhe turned his head and comforted Su Xiao in the back seat. After all, Su Xiao's nervousness, Luo Qingchen could guess the reason. This was because there was an unwritten rule in Imperial Capital Aristocratic Academy. Students who were not late even once in a month would receive a reward of 100 yuan. But this Luo Qingchen, she wanted to use this month's 100 to buy a warm bag for her grandmother. That way, when it was winter, her grandmother's feet would always be warm. Although Li Sinai didn't understand why Su Xiao was so nervous, Luo Qingchen kept urging him from behind, so he rushed to the school gate as fast as he could. It was 7:55, they weren't late. Chapter 10:17. God, young Master Li came to school this early today. This is my first time meeting young Master Li at school. I'm so excited. Lucky day, lucky day. The crowd all took out their phones to take pictures of Li Xinai getting out. Mi Xuanna and Yan Shuiqing, not far away, also stopped and came over. Big sister Nana, young Master Li is so early today. Yan Shuiqing said this while tightly holding her neck with her scarf. Her body, injuries, and feet had been scratched by rats last night, and she had been given an emergency injection in the middle of the night. She wanted to ask for leave today, but Mi Xuanna said that she had to come to school and properly teach those two commoners a lesson. Ai, it's a good thing I came today. Otherwise I would have missed young Master Li. Mi Xuanna put her rat-bitten hand into the pocket of her uniform and walked towards Li Xinai's Porsche. Li Xinai was the first to get out, and Nan Luozhe in the front passenger seat was the second to get out. The two school hunks of the Royal Academy were together. This was definitely a rare sight. The crowd all took out their phones to take pictures. Yeah, it's young Master Nan. Yan Shuiqing called out as she waved her hand at Nan Luozhe. Nan Luozhe seemed to notice this voice and slightly knit his brows. He looked not far away before immediately looking away. But just this one glance made Yan Shuiqing especially excited. Big sister Nana, did you see that? Young Master Nan. Young Master Nan is looking at me. For Yan Shuiqing, who had been Nan Luozhe's girlfriend for 3 days, this kind of gaze was special. Cuckoo. Mi Xuanna reluctantly said, yes. Actually, Mi Xuanna was a bit uncomfortable since she was standing here with Yan Shuiqing. Nan Luozhe looked at Yan Shuiqing, but Li Xinai didn't look at her at all. Aya, big sister Nana, don't be unhappy. Yan Shuiqing took out a mirror to look at herself as she said, perhaps young Master Li isn't looking here at all. When she said this, there was a trace of pride in her voice. It was like she was showing off that Nan Luozhe was looking at her and not Mi Xuanna. It was like she was saying, what was so great about a first-class noble miss? She was nothing if no one loved her. Yan Shuiqing, what are you being so cocky for? Mi Xuanna naturally heard the meaning behind Yan Shuiqing's words and unwillingly said, you make it sound like young Master Nan is very loyal. Just as the two of them were secretly mocking each other, a cry of wow attracted their attention. After Li Xinai and Nan Luozhe got out, they went to the back seats and opened the doors. The people who came out were none other than Luo Qingchen and Su Xiaoxiao, the two thorns in their hearts. Oh my God, the girl beside young Master C, is she the one from the field that day? D*MN, could it be that her initiative really attracted young Master C's attention? I feel that this kind of proactive girl is so shameless. Girls should be reserved, don't they? What are you guessing for? She probably just brought her along. Although young Master C has never brought a girl before, young Master Nan has brought a lot of girls. While everyone was discussing, Mi Xuanna and Yan Shuiqing's expressions became extremely unsightly. Chapter 10:18. Slut. Such a disgusting commoner actually wants to be with young Master Nan. Yan Shuiqing's good mood fell to the bottom, because this scene had appeared in her fantasies before. It was a pity that the main characters weren't her and Mi Xuanna, but rather two commoners. All of you, shut up for me. Li Xinai narrowed his cold eyes and a chill came from his body. He indeed didn't like hearing people say bad things about her from these strange mouths. Even when he argued with her, he didn't say anything bad about her. These people, what qualifications did they have? As soon as Li Xinai's voice fell, the crowd fell silent. Luo Qingchen was too lazy to care about this, so she took Su Xiaoxiao's hand and walked into the school. She knew that the school's gossip would explode. So no matter where she went, she would hear whispers. Most of them were negative, but she was fine with these words. After all, she liked standing in the center of things, standing in the center of public criticism. But Su Xiaoxiao, she wasn't used to these gazes at all. These whispers only pushed her closed heart to the extreme. Coo coo. Teacher Gu was on the podium talking about the school celebration this time. First was the 4x100-meter relay and then the performances of each class. The girls will participate in the 4x100-meter relay this time. The girls who have already participated once can choose not to participate. Teacher Gu said this while making some changes on the list, finally deciding on the list for their class to participate in the 4x100-meter relay. This included Luo Qingchen and Su Xiaoxiao. What to do? I can't run. Su Xiaoxiao lowered her head, as if she was filled with thoughts, as she tightly rubbed her hands together. She had been very troubled these past few days, being pointed at wherever she went. When she passed the library yesterday, someone even splashed water on her face, but she could only stand there in a daze, listening to those ugly words and saying sorry in a small voice. When she went back to the dorm to rest, she found that her roommates who would occasionally talk to her ignored her. Although they were all normal students, they didn't do anything excessive. But this kind of terrible cold violence made her feel even more hurt. She didn't dare to tell Luo Qingchen. She was afraid that after she told her, she would stand up for her without hesitation, making her even more of a target of public criticism. Yeah, me neither. Luo Qingchen shook her head gently and said, but it doesn't matter. It's not a competition anyway. It's just an opening relay. Moreover, she didn't really care about such things. But I think you can participate in the performance. Luo Qingchen looked at her and said, I heard that you play the harp very well. Of course, this was not what she had heard. One day, she had accidentally found an exam certificate in one of Su Xiaoxiao's literature book. There were 4 big words written on it, Harp Level 10. She was stunned. Obviously, she didn't expect Luo Qingchen to know about this. She had to stammer, don't tell the teacher, I don't want to go. Now, she was already at the cusp of the storm. For a poor, ugly, cowardly person like her, this kind of pressure had already reached her limit. Chapter 10:19. Luo Qingchen thought for a long time about how to increase Su Xiaoxiao's confidence, but it was already the 100-year anniversary of the Royal Academy. The 4x100 torch relay at the opening ceremony was something that was held every year during the school's anniversary celebration. It represented youth and vitality. In the lounge, other than Luo Qingchen's group of 4, the rest were all noble students. This included Mi Xuanna and Yan Shuiqing. The 2 of them weren't willing to participate in this show-off event in their hearts, but when they knew that Luo Qingchen and Su Xiaoxiao were participating, they naturally wanted to do something. Yo! Isn't this Miss Commoner? People like you who only know how to study and earn money for living expenses can participate in sports? Mi Xuanna was wearing the latest white sports suit and her slightly curled hair was tied into a princess braid, looking very noble. Luo Qingchen pulled Su Xiaoxiao behind her and said with cold eyes, It seems like all those rats can't shut you up. How about we switch to snakes next time? You cheap person, it really was you. Mi Xuanna's expression changed and she charged forward with bared fangs. But she suddenly thought of the loss she suffered in the commoner class and clenched her fists, stopping herself. Whether it's me or not. Luo Qingchen gave a cold laugh. There was a layer of frost in her eyes as she looked at her and said, Do you have proof? Yes, she didn't have proof. She had watched the surveillance in the coffee shop that day, but she didn't see anyone approach them. The rats seemed to appear out of thin air and drilled into their bodies. Thinking about it now, her hair stood on end and it was disgusting. Good. Mi Xuanna bit her lip. Don't blame me for not reminding you, my status can make the 2 of you disappear from the Royal Academy forever. This wasn't a joke. If it wasn't for Li Xinai and Nan Luozhe protecting them, what couldn't she do with her status as the Mi Group's young miss? Even killing a person wasn't excessive. Oh! Luo Qingchen raised a brow. Let's wait and see. The next second, she took Su Xiaoxiao's hand and walked outside. As soon as he walked out of the lounge, the PE teacher walked in with a stack of sportswear and shoes in his hand. He said, "The principal said that the opening ceremony must be unified. It's custom-made according to your school uniform and shoes. Look at the name and don't take the wrong one." As soon as the PE teacher finished speaking, Mi Xuanna's face flashed with a very faint expression. She glanced at Xiao Yu, who was also a commoner, and said, "You come here." However, when Luo Qingchen and Su Xiaoxiao returned to the lounge, there was no one left. There were only 2 white transparent bags, one with Luo Qingchen's name and the other with Su Xiaoxiao's name. She frowned and glanced at her sportswear and shoes. There were no problems. However, Su Xiaoxiao was missing a pair of shoes. It must be that Mi Xuanna and Yan Shuiqing. Luo Qingchen slightly knit her brows. "Where my shoes? I'll go find her." These 2 idiots really wouldn't cry until they saw the coffin. Why would she give these people a chance to jump? If this was a world with spiritual energy, she would take out the exquisite ring and get rid of them. Chapter 10:20. Luo Qingchen never thought that Mi Xuanna's thoughts weren't as simple as taking Su Xiaoxiao's shoes. When they were standing on the track, Xiao Yu suddenly walked towards Su Xiaoxiao with a pair of shoes. Her movements were a bit unnatural, but Luo Qingchen was 200 meters away, so she couldn't see it clearly. But Su Xiaoxiao looked at Xiao Yu with a very moved expression. Xiao Yu was her roommate, and because of her relationship with Nan Luozhe, everyone in the dorm ignored her. Now that Xiao Yu suddenly took her shoes, naturally her face was filled with joy. "Xiao, your shoes were thrown into the trash by them." Xiao Yu pursed her lips and her eyes trembled. I picked them up for you." Thank you." Su Xiaoxiao's eyes were filled with tears. Xiao Yu didn't dare look into her eyes, so she looked away. After giving her the shoes, Xiao Yu ran to her track in a panic. Su Xiaoxiao didn't see anything wrong at all. She took off her half-worn shoes and put on her sneakers. But when she put on a pair of sneakers, her fingertips trembled slightly and she bit her lips lightly. The sneakers were covered in 502 and were firmly stuck to her feet. The left side of the shoe was covered in pushpins. As long as she didn't run and raised her hand, her feet wouldn't be hurt. There were only 5 minutes left until the competition began, so their F-classes 4 by 100 score meant they automatically forfeited. Ever since she was young, no matter how miserable her family was, her grandmother would always tell her that when God closes a door for you, He will definitely open a window for you. But she couldn't see the window. Actually, she could run away at this moment, running away like before. Looking at the other people holding their stomachs and hearing the mocking voices of others. At the same time, it cast a shadow that was hard to erase over the so-called F-class. She could be laughed at endlessly, but she didn't want the people who cared about her to be laughed at. After all, the girl not far away was her only friend. In the next second, she furrowed her brows and made an extremely bold decision. She carefully put on the other white sneaker and nodded her head, which had always been as low as it could be. Luo Qingchen squinted at Su Xiaoxiao, who was 200 meters away, and frowned. Nan Luozhe's eyes turned from Su Xiaoxiao to Luo Qingchen as he mouthed, "Something is wrong with Xiaoxiao. What is this situation?" Luo Qingchen gently shook her head, indicating that she didn't know. At the same time, Mi Xuanna and Yan Shuiqing were even more shocked. They targeted Su Xiaoxiao instead of Luo Qingchen because Su Xiaoxiao was easier to fool than Luo Qingchen. Xiao Yu was her roommate. As long as they started from this point, it was easy to make Xiao Yu wear the pair of shoes they carefully prepared for her. But what they didn't expect was, Su Xiaoxiao didn't leave. Instead, she put on the shoes and stood up. Mi Xuanna and Yan Shuiqing looked at each other with eyes filled with confusion. They wanted to use this chance to make the so-called F-class, the so-called commoners, make a fool of themselves at the opening ceremony. They never thought that they would be one step behind. Chapter 10:21. There was a clear gap in the first 2 legs. Class A was first and Class F was last. The main reason was that in the lounge, Mi Xuanna had given each of them 1,000 yuan to act. She couldn't run too slowly to make others suspect her, and she couldn't run too fast to win. When it came to the third leg, Su Xiaoxiao gritted her teeth and ran as fast as she could. There was nothing in her mind at this moment, she just wanted to give the baton to the only person she could trust. Her white sneakers had already been dyed red by blood as she ran, and the blood fell onto the rubber track drop by drop. A cowardly girl was being stubborn for the first time. When Su Xiaoxiao came closer, Luo Qingchen suddenly noticed that her feet were dyed red with blood. She wanted to take her to the infirmary, but that girl who had always been aloof and submissive said to her in a firm voice, "Qingchen, I'll leave it to you." The moment she took the baton, Mi Xuanna had already run 50 meters. If she gritted her teeth and chased after her, she might have a chance to win. But at this moment, Luo Qingchen didn't want that so-called noble to lose too easily. Ding, 500 exchange points has been taken. Successfully exchanged for space and time freeze. Luo Qingchen narrowed her eyes as she walked step by step towards the proud Mi Xuanna. The moment she stood in front of her, she could clearly see her expression. That pair of white eyes that were rolled to the sky, that crooked mouth that was filled with joy and ridicule. She didn't feel that this kind of stupid thing could easily cause a girl to be seriously hurt. At this moment, she suddenly felt a bit of disdain for this so-called noble. Using this kind of despicable method to do this kind of dirty thing, their hearts were all dirty. System, calling the system. A host, please speak. Why don't you give me a few nails? The host isn't even willing to use exchange points for small things like this, she wants the system to give it to her. You said it yourself, such things in the mortal world are very cheap in your world. Ding, there are 5 nails in the right pocket of the host's sports clothes. Give, the system will give, okay? Luo Qingchen's brows moved slightly. She placed the 5 tacks on the ground and adjusted Mi Xuanna's running posture. This way, as long as the space-time freeze ended, Mi Xuanna would instantly fall and be pierced by the thumbtacks on the ground. This move of giving someone a taste of their own medicine might not be very glorious, but the goal had already been achieved, so why should he care about these details? She walked back to her original position and snapped her fingers. Then, she said to Su Xiaoxiao, "Don't worry." As soon as she finished speaking, she rushed out with the baton. Other than Mi Xuanna, there were other classes on the 8th ring's rubber track. If he wanted to win, it was impossible without some skills. The whistling wind coupled with Mi Xuanna's screams made her run even faster. There was a kind of boiling blood burning in her heart, constantly filling her with fighting spirit. The 4x100-meter race, which he had originally thought was insignificant, suddenly had a desire to win at this moment. A strong belief could make people do unexpected things, not to mention running 100 meters quickly. In the end, she reached the finish line at the same time as the 4th runner of Class B, tying for first place. When she looked at Su Xiaoxiao, the 2 handsome men who had attracted thousands of people had already rushed down. They were against the light and had anxious looks on their faces. It really looked like. Chapter 10:22. Nan Luozhe naturally walked towards Su Xiaoxiao first. His brows were tightly knit and his heart was beating fast. This was his first time having this feeling. It was a very strange feeling. It was like there was a special kind of worry that came from the depths of his heart. When he saw the pair of shoes covered in blood, he confirmed the thought in his heart. Su Xiaoxiao. He softly called her. Seeing her pale face, she pursed her lips in embarrassment and kept her distance from him. Without knowing why, there was a pain in his heart. Li Xinai often mentioned Su Xiaoxiao and Luo Qingchen, telling him that Luo Qingchen's personality was much better than Su Xiaoxiao's. Although she had a poisonous tongue, she wasn't afraid at all. She always had the personality of a proud female lead, shining no matter where she went. But in his eyes, if he could do it all over again, the first person he saw would be Su Xiao Xiao, and the one he fell in love with would be Su Xiao Xiao. She softly replied. She slightly knit her brows when she moved back, but she still looked at him with a faint smile. Classmate Nan, why did you come down? I'm looking for you. He said these two words almost decisively, his deep eyes full of focus as he looked at her. In the next second there was a sigh from the crowd. Wasn't that person young Master Nan's girlfriend a long time ago? That's right. It's already been 3 days. Why is she still pestering young Master Nan? So disgusting, she looks like a commoner. What to do? My heart feels so good. Why is young Master Nan so good to a commoner? She has skills. She's pretending to be a white lotus, moving forward and retreating. She looks very unwilling on the surface, but she can't wait to pounce on him in her heart. So deep, it's a good thing I don't know this kind of person. Su Xiao Zhao's eyes trembled as she bit her lip and lowered her head. Although she seemed to be used to this kind of gossip, when the unpleasant words entered her ears once again, her fragile heart was still defeated in minutes. Are you done? Nan Luozhe narrowed his eyes as he looked at the people around him with a fierce look that he had never had before. Look at the situation if you want to gossip. Unless you want to become enemies with Nan Luozhe, then come. His words were sonorous and forceful, with a hint of dominance and anger. Everyone present shut their mouths at this moment, except for Yan Shuiqing. Young Master Nan, you can't be fooled by her. In the next second, everyone's gazes landed on Yan Shuiqing. She pointed at Su Xiaoxiao's nose and strode over. It seems that you intend to make me your enemy? Nan Luozhe's eyes narrowed as he protected Su Xiaoxiao behind him. His lips curled into a cold smile as he looked at Yan Shuiqing. Yan Shuiqing looked at Nan Luozhe with an aggrieved look. She bit her lip and said, How could I be young Master Nan's enemy? I just can't stand this fox using tricks to win your sympathy. Why was it that the person he desperately wanted was always surrounded by a commoner? If she lost to a noble like me Xuena, she wouldn't say anything, but why did it have to be this fatherless, motherless, and trash that stole the man in her heart? Chapter 10:23. At this moment, the surrounding girls sucked in a breath of cold air again. This was the first time young Master Nan had called the other side his girlfriend like this. Su Xiaoxiao was stunned, never thinking that Nan Luozhe would princess carry her in this situation. She could only feel her heart pounding and the blood in her body boiling. The heat even made her forget the pain in her feet. She didn't know where to put her hands, so she carefully put them over her heart and buried her face in embarrassment. This was her first time being princess carried by a man like this in her life. Girlfriend. Yan Shuiqing didn't give up as she bit her lip. Young Master Nan has many girlfriends. I know that you won't like her soon. Whether they were beautiful, ugly, fat, or thin, the people he was with wouldn't last more than 3 days. It was because of this that even if the girls by his side kept changing, she could keep waiting. Because she knew that those girls wouldn't be the ones with the last laugh. He gave a cold laugh as his beautiful eyes narrowed. That is because I haven't met true love yet. These short words revealed the deepest secret of this playboy. I don't believe it, I don't believe it. Yan Shuiqing desperately shook her head in disbelief. She raised her hand and fiercely said, I'll beat you to death, you vixen. I don't hit women, but don't force me. His eyes were filled with extreme anger that made Yan Shuiqing's hands stop in the air. As soon as his voice fell, he carried Su Xiaoxiao in his arms to the infirmary without even looking back. Yan Shuiqing stood there like a loser. This was her first time seeing Nan Luozhe like this. He didn't have his usual gentle elegance, rather he was filled with anger. For the person in his arms, Nan Luozhe didn't even care about his image. When this grudge began, Li Sinai walked towards Luo Qingchen with 2 bottles of cola in his hand. When he passed by Mi Xuan looked at him with an excited gaze, but he didn't stop because her legs were covered in blood. Rather he walked towards Luo Qingchen, who was standing at the finish line. Not bad. Li Sinai handed the cola to her as his lips curled into a faint smile. Could it be that this is the legendary simple mind and developed limbs? Luo Qingchen was planning on taking his cola, but hearing what he said, she took back her hand without giving him any face. She looked at him and said, "Even if my mind is simple, I can make you speechless so easily. That means that you can't compare to me." Eloquent. Li Sinai put the cola in her hand. Xiao Zhao's words, little Luoze. He seemed to be indifferent to many things, but on some things, he seemed to be bursting with righteousness. She wasn't afraid of power, she wasn't afraid of others holding a grudge. Most of the time, Xiao Luo's heart, Luo Qingchen, gave a soft snort. She looked at Nan Luoze holding Su Xiao not far away and casually said, "Thank you for your cola." As soon as her voice fell, she chased after Su Xiao. It was all because of Li Sinai's sudden appearance that she almost forgot about Su Xiao. At this moment, she suddenly felt that there was a phrase that suited her. What was it called, host? This is called valuing love over friendship. Chapter 10:24. Young Master Nan, this student's foot injury is too serious and because of the strong friction, she has touched her nerves, so she needs to be sent to the hospital as soon as possible. The doctor in the infirmary naturally knew that the girl Nan Luoze brought in wasn't normal, so he seriously explained this. Nan Luoze looked at Su Xiao's shocking injury and his right fist couldn't help clenching. Someone who did such a cruel and despicable thing, he would definitely make them pay the price. Hospital. Su Xiao shook her head. I won't go to the hospital. A normal person like her naturally knew that going to the hospital would cost a lot of money. She didn't have any money. Even when she had a 40-degree fever before, she wasn't willing to go to the hospital. She just wrapped herself in a blanket and forced herself to pass. Now that it was just a small injury, she couldn't go to the hospital. "Why aren't you going to the hospital?" Nan Luoze looked at Su Xiao with a look of disappointment. He picked up the gauze on the side and softly tapped her head before saying to the doctor on the side, "Call an ambulance for me." Pa. As soon as his voice fell, there was a clap that came from the door of the infirmary. It came from Li Sinai and of course there was Luo Qingchen standing beside him. The hero saving the beauty isn't bad. Luo Qingchen gave a shrug before looking at Su Xiao's injury. "I've never seen you this bold before, why did you go all out today?" She was a bit surprised before rubbing her fingers together like her heart had been poked. I'm a bit unwilling. It should be because after being with Luo Qingchen for so long, she suddenly yearned for her daring personality. Even if she couldn't be that reckless, at least she didn't want to appear weak in front of those people. She would lose face for Luo Qingchen and Nan Luoze. Send her to the hospital first, I'm afraid she won't be able to perform tonight. Luo Qingchen gave a shrug. I can already imagine Teacher Gu going crazy. Speaking of this, Teacher Gu usually looked amiable, but as soon as the topic of artistic performances was brought up, she would become particularly irritable. The 4x100 opening ceremony ended smoothly amidst sighs. Su Xiao and Mi Xuan were both sent to the hospital. Moreover, they were all high-class wards. After all, with the two handsome men Li Sinai and Nan Luoze standing there, she couldn't not enter the high-class ward. The doctor said that although Su Xiao's foot was seriously injured, fortunately, it did not hurt her nerves and would not affect her running in the future. However, he paid special attention these few days. He tried his best to sit in a wheelchair to prevent his wound from tearing and getting infected. At 7:30, Luo Qingchen was leaning on the sofa with Li Sinai watching the latest episode of Poppy Flower Kindergarten. Without knowing why, Li Sinai suddenly liked this feeling. He could use the same headset as a girl and watch the same cartoon. It was a feeling that he had never felt before. The faint fragrance coming from her body reminded him of the strawberry taste that had remained in his mouth that day. He was originally arrogant, despotic, and insufferably arrogant. When she met someone she cared about, she couldn't compare to Nan Luo Zhe. No, he had to say something and take the initiative to attack. That Luo Qingchen. It was a coincidence that Su Xiao Xiao lying on the bed cut him off. Chapter 10:25. This time, the song that second-year F class was supposed to perform was an ancient style, Full Moon and Flowers. Luo Qingchen's zither and Su Xiao Zhao's harp were supposed to be the main melody, but now that the two of them weren't here, they could only give up. But the funny thing was that second-year A class also chose this song, but they performed it with Western instruments. Before the competition began, the teacher in charge of second-year A class kept reminding them that although the pillar wasn't here, they still had to win. "Teacher, be assured." Yan Shuiqing gave a shrug and said with a relaxed look, "Just based on how expensive our instruments are, the tone we play can throw away their inferior instruments by several streets." Right, teacher, be assured. Shuiqing's violin is super good, it's just that the tone was covered before. A fat girl didn't forget to flatter Yan Shuiqing while Mi Xuanna wasn't here. After all, what goes around comes around. Now that Mi Xuanna's thigh was injured, she wouldn't be back for a long time, so she had to find someone to take care of her. It's best if it's like this. The proud teacher flicked her hair and looked at her nails as she said, "Actually, I'm not worried about you since the people of F class are just too bad. A bunch of idiots who only know how to study, they even want to take a place in literature. Why don't they look in the mirror and see if they can afford instruments?" She hated the teacher in charge of F class with the surname Gu the most. She was clearly a commoner, but she could teach in the imperial capital. This was simply a rotten apple. When it was 8 o'clock, a group of girls from grade 2 class A went up the stage. However, they were short of two people. Li Sinai, who played the piano, and Nan Luo Zhe, who played the guitar, but they still had Yan Shuiqing, who played the violin, and Mi Xuanna, who played the cello. It was a pity that Mi Xuanna wasn't here. When the incomparably simple violin melody sounded, the music teachers below all shook their heads in whispers. After all, Yan Shuiqing didn't play the violin that well, so she was a bit weak when she had to play alone. The girls behind her couldn't find the right pitch. What Yan Shuiqing didn't expect was that when the music entered the second beat, there was light shining down from the other side of the stage. The sound of a piano slowly rang out like the rhythm of flowing water. The slender fingertips danced on the black and white keys with extreme luxury. The spring breeze blows into my heart. I miss you so much that I can't fall asleep. Why can't you understand the meaning of the falling flowers? You can only look at the bright moon outside the window. Li Sinai. The music on the other half of the stage was completely overshadowed. Everyone knew that this was the legendary Guqin duel. In the next second, the lights on the stage continued to shine down from another direction. The sound of a guitar slowly rang out, bringing with it a shallow melody and moving singing. The moon hangs high, curved like your eyebrows. My heart that misses you can only move forward and not retreat. I say, do you know that the flowing water is not heartless? Takes you to the palace in the sky. Nan Luo Zhe, my God, what? What is this situation? I just heard that young Master Li and young Master Nan aren't participating. Xiao, the light fell down and shined onto Luo Qingchen's white cheeks. With the sound of the system's exchange, there was the beautiful Guqin that beautifully appeared. Chapter 10:26. Luo Qingchen silently said in her heart, "Why didn't the previous host learn the piano? It would be great if it was the piano." She felt that her piano skills were already at the 10th level. She didn't need to waste exchange points at all. The host can also practice the zither. Scram. Rough 1 second and sweet the next. this must be what Luo Qingchen was like right now. When the lights above her fell onto her face, the sound of her zither was like pearls falling onto a jade plate, bringing with it a sense of enjoyment. On this night of flowers and full moon, the two hearts are in love. On this night of flowers and full moon, the lovers become a pair. I say you, who else in this world can fly side by side with you? Luo Qingchen. When Luo Qingchen appeared, the people under the stage went from exclamations to discussions. My God, what is this situation? Isn't that person from F class? So envious. She's actually performing on the same stage as young Master C and young Master Nan. I'm so envious. I'll say something fair, her singing really isn't bad. Traitor, you'll scram to the commoner class tomorrow. After that, all the lights fell onto Su Xiaozhao's face. She was sitting in a wheelchair, holding an old harp in her hand. This harp was given to her by her grandmother. She couldn't afford a new one, so she kept using it. Although the harp was very old, the sound was very nice to hear. A wisp of green smoke slowly swirled. When will the bright moon appear? When will the bright moon appear? Holding a cup of wine and asking the clear sky, holding a cup of wine and asking the clear sky. Don't know the palace in the sky, palace. What year is this night? What year is this night? The first half was sung by Su Xiao and the second half was sung by the three of them. This was their first time on the same stage and they had never rehearsed, but they were doing the same thing with tacit understanding. At this moment, the four of them were filled with indescribable excitement. Ding, affection has increased by 10. Mission completion rate is now 50%. Luo Qingchen gave a soft laugh as her lips curled slightly. If she could increase affection for Li Xinai at this moment, it would definitely be 100. After all, this feeling was too wonderful. On the other side of the stage, he tried to make some noise from time to time to attract attention. Unfortunately, even when Yan Shuiqing broke the strings of her violin, she was still unable to overshadow the other party. They had lost this battle too miserably. But to Class A they hadn't lost yet. At the end of the song, the audience applauded enthusiastically. This time, the applause did not belong to any one person, but to the song. They performed a song with a combination of classical and Western instruments. It was dedicated to this song about the trivial matter of unrequited love, the full moon and the flowers. Did you see that? This is our Class A student. This is the demeanor of the school hunk. Below the stage, the form teacher of Class A applauded madly. She did not forget to roll her eyes at the form teacher of Class F, Teacher Gu, who was standing beside her. Although Yan Shuiqing's performance was very embarrassing, Class A did not lose tonight. But there are people from our class up there too, Teacher Gu muttered softly, not daring to confront the teacher of Class A. After all, between teachers, she was just an ordinary teacher. Trash. The teacher of Class A waved his hand and encouraged the students of Class A to shout their slogan. Class A will win. Class A will win. Class A will win. At this time, Nan Luozhe on stage picked up the microphone and said something unexpected. Chapter 10:27. This beautiful stage ended awkwardly because of Nan Luozhe's words. Class A's teacher's face froze as her eyes filled with confusion and anger. Teacher Gu, who was standing next door, glanced at her with a particularly pleasant expression. Although she didn't dare confront her, she wasn't afraid of her when she was confident and happy. In the end, Nan Luozhe willfully transferred to F class, not caring about the gazes of others. Of course, other than Nan Luozhe, there was also the arrogant school hunk Li Xinai who didn't care about this. Because of the arrival of these two important people, F class moved to the Noble Students building. Teacher Gu was very satisfied because F class didn't just take first place in the school, they also took first place in the school celebration performance. Washing away their shame, they deserved it. Today is a big day. Not only did our class receive both academic and artistic achievements, we also have 2 transfer students. Teacher Gu had a smile, looking very happy. After all, after moving to the Noble Students Building, there were many empty seats. The two students transferring to F class this time were very good-looking, and they were both international students. The most important thing was that they requested to transfer to F class. Oh. The students in the class were very happy. After all, they were all normal people, and now that there were two handsome guys, they couldn't help feeling happy. Then ladies first. Teacher Gu waved her hand at the door and Mi Ji came in. She was wearing a pink jacket and a gray plaid skirt. She had a baby face with a little bun on her head, looking very cute. Hello everyone, I am Mi Ji. Wah, so beautiful. The eyes of a fat boy in the 5th row of the second group lit up and he couldn't help praising, she's like a doll. Mi Ji's family background is good, but she feels that since she's back in the country, she shouldn't receive special treatment. Teacher Gu nodded in satisfaction. She really is a sensible child. Luo Qingchen narrowed her eyes and looked at Mi Ji in front of her with a deep look in her eyes. They kept feeling that her eyes were looking in their direction. It felt very strange. I'm a Scorpio. I like to make friends, draw, and play basketball. It's just that I'm not good at math. Mi Ji bowed politely. I hope that we can be good classmates and friends in the coming days. Clap, 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 clap. As soon as he finished speaking, the boys below clapped. It seemed that they were very satisfied with this new obedient female student. Yes, you can choose any of the empty seats in the class. Teacher Gu stretched out her hand and smiled. You can sit alone if you like. No need, teacher. I don't need special treatment. Mi Ji walked towards Su Jing with her cute backpack on her back and sat down beside him. Oh, class monitor finally has a deskmate. Haha, what a beauty! I'm so jealous. This is indeed an era where looks matter. Su Jing nodded politely, welcome. And she glanced around and answered casually, but her gaze fell on the seat in the back row. Behind her and Su Jing were Li Xinai and Nan Luozhe. Although this wasn't the best golden seat, it was still a good seat. Chapter 10:28. Alright, everyone look over here. Teacher Gu clapped her hands before continuing. Now we'll introduce the second transfer student. Teacher Gu waved her hand at the door and a familiar figure appeared on the podium. He was wearing a British suit, a branded LV bag, an Armani watch, and a dazzling diamond stud in his right ear, showing an arrogance that was different from the other nobles. Hello everyone, I am Han Zai. Please take care of me for the rest of my life. As soon as his voice fell, Han Zai gave a proper bow as his lips curled into a faint smile. His eyes immediately fell onto Luo Qingchen. Of course, Li Xinai also saw this scene. Damn, so handsome! So sunny. I like this kind of sunny handsome guy. His hair is so special, is it chestnut brown? Very welcome to our F class. Classmate Han, please find a seat. Han Zai didn't even think as he walked over to the seat in front of Luo Qingchen. There was an empty seat next to him, so no one guessed like Mi Ji when she chose her seat. After all, there were many empty seats in the class and the transfer student didn't know anyone, so naturally he would choose an empty seat. In the eyes of the girls, Mi Ji chose to sit next to Su Jing, not for Su Jing, but for the two school hunks. But after this class, everyone had to consider the relationship between Han Zai and Luo Qingchen. After all, they had passed notes for an entire class. How is it? How are the things in my Louis Vuitton bag? Han Zai, when he had the note fall onto Luo Qingchen's desk, Li Xinai couldn't help narrowing his eyes with a bit of coldness in them. Nan Luozhe followed Li Xinai's gaze and lowered his brows as he said in a soft voice, It has to be said, classmate Qingchen's charm really can't be stopped. This transfer student is passing notes to her as soon as he comes. Zai, there's something fishy. Mind your own business. Li Xinai heard Nan Luozhe's words and his heart became even more displeased. That person, was he that good looking? Compared to him, the difference was like heaven and earth, okay? After Luo Qingchen received the note, Su Xiaoxiao glanced at her and blinked inexplicably. Luo Qingchen gently wrote 2 words on the textbook beside her. Yes. Then, he replied to Han Zizi's note, "Don't mention this to me again. Don't force me to kill you." Luo Qingchen, it would be fine if he didn't mention it, but once he did, she might just explode on the spot. If it wasn't for this LV bag, she wouldn't have been mocked by Li Xinai as a pervert. Han Zizi had to take full responsibility for this. After writing the note, Luo Qingchen angrily threw the note at the back of Mr. Gu's head as he turned around. Su Xiaoxiao couldn't help but chuckle lightly, and she felt like she was bathing in the spring breeze. The class ended like this. The people sitting around Luo Qingchen gossiped a little after class. Han Zishi also made up 9 sentences out of 10, then turned around and stretched out his arms, intending to give her a big hug. But before he could hug her, there was a ping sound that came from not far away. A certain person angrily kicked the table and walked out the door. Luo Qingchen was surprised. Looking at that faint back, she knit her brows as she thought, "It can't be a misunderstanding, right?" Chapter 10:29. Why are you so happy? Luo Qingchen pouted and said, "Why did you come back to China? I miss you." Han Zishi's face instantly became serious as he said, "You have to know how difficult it is for me to live without you by my side. Thousands of miles of mountains and rivers are not as good as you." Enough! Luo Qingchen didn't forget to tremble. She looked into his eyes and said with a serious look, "If you keep talking, I can't guarantee that my mouth won't be able to keep your secret." She obviously liked men, but she still pretended to like men. How could it not make people's hair stand on end? Haha, Su Xiaoxiao, who was sitting aside, couldn't help chuckling and said, "You are so interesting." Then she gently picked up a cartoon and handed it to Han Zishi, saying, "This is for you." The strokes were delicate, the colors were bright, and there was a feeling of youth and vitality. "I don't have a good grasp of color. I hope you like it." Su Xiaoxiao smiled and nodded lightly. She never had too much contact with her classmates, let alone a new classmate. But if he was Luo Qingchen's friend, she was willing to pluck up the courage to talk to him and do so. "Wow, super cute, super cute, super cute." Han Zishi couldn't help touching Su Xiaoxiao's head and said, "You are so cute. I like you so much." Pring! There was the sound of the back door being slammed. When Luo Qingchen turned to look, she saw 2 empty seats. At the same time, Mi Ji also looked in her direction, and their eyes collided in the air. The other party rolled her eyes at her and snorted, with a faint sneer on the corner of her mouth. This was obviously a very unfriendly move, which was completely different from when she introduced herself on the podium. Su Xiaoxiao was frightened by Han Zishi's sudden move. She lowered her head in embarrassment, pursed her lips and whispered, "It's good that you like it. What class is this? Why is everyone absent?" Han Zishi touched his head and asked, "Is there a long break between classes in China?" "Silly." Luo Qingchen put on a sports jacket and said, "This is PE class." In the large southern sports field, the girls sat together and watched the boys play basketball. Waves of cheers filled with energy rang out. Because Mi Ji was a new transfer student, and she was a little pretty and was from a small noble family, many girls in the commoner class naturally didn't like to stand with her. At this moment she was sitting with a group of boys. Some of them were handing her snacks and some of them were handing her water. She looked like a rich young lady. Actually, Luo Qingchen was also this popular when she first came to class, but when everyone learned of her strange relationship with Li Xinai, the boys all avoided her. After all, beauty was far less important than life. "Come, Miji. You said you were pretty good at basketball when you introduced yourself last time." A boy passed the basketball to her. "How about it? Do you want to try?" Miji wanted to refuse, but when she saw Su Xiaoxiao and Luo Qingchen sitting in the stands near the basketball hoop, she changed her mind. "All right." She revealed a sweet smile and said in a spoiled voice, I haven't shot in a long time, don't laugh at me if I miss. In the next second, she gently dribbled the ball twice. She raised the ball and threw it without any hesitation. Chapter 1030. Pa 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 pa. Oh 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 oh. Warm applause and loud cheers came as expected. The boy who handed her the basketball was full of praise. That's amazing. Luck, luck. She shook her head as a proud look flashed in her eyes. She said in a humble voice, "If I had to shoot again, I definitely wouldn't have made it." "How could that be possible?" The boy said with a smile, "Let's make a bet. If you make it, I'll treat the entire class to ice cream." Oh. There was another group of cheers. It seemed like there would always be people who didn't mind watching a show. Hee. She pursed her lips into a sweet smile. "All right? For everyone's ice cream, I'll work hard." Such a sweet smile, such a positive answer. Luo Qingchen could clearly feel that when Mi Ji said this, Li Si Nai and Nan Luo Zhe looked at her at the same time. He sized her up indifferently with a deep gaze. When Mi Ji picked up the basketball the boy picked up again, she narrowed her eyes and there was a faint sparkle in her eyes. She was still tiptoeing and lifting the ball. But this time there was a bit of a difference between it and the basket, although no one could see it. Shio. The basketball flew in a parabola in the air, flying in a certain direction. That direction was where Su Xiao was. Luo Qingchen narrowed her eyes and reached out to block it with Han Zai Zi, but she was a step faster and her right wrist was twisted. There were cries of surprise. Mi Ji immediately ran over and asked in a concerned voice, Are you all right?" There was an unknown emotion in those concerned eyes. She looked down and saw that Luo Qingchen's right hand was swollen, as her lips curled into a smile that no one could see. "Qingchen, are you all right?" Su Xiao immediately looked at her hand and anxiously said, "How about we go to the infirmary?" "I'll go with you. I'm really sorry." Mi Ji pretended to be anxious and said with an aggrieved face, "It's all my fault. I was too careless." Originally, Luo Qingchen had thought that she wouldn't hit a smiling person, but in this situation, no matter what, Mi Ji had already gained the upper hand. Her first shot hit the target, but it was just to pave the way for her second shot. This kind of person's thoughts ran deep. Even if she were to argue with her face to face, she would not win. However, there were some things that he didn't want to talk about. He was really unhappy about it. In the next second, she narrowed her cold eyes and said in a voice that was neither light nor heavy, "Whether it was intentional or not, don't you know in your heart?" With that said, Mi Ji's expression changed, but the male idol who had handed her the basketball could not hold it in any more. "I say, classmate Luo Qingchen, we are all classmates. Besides, Mi Ji just transferred over and doesn't know you. Your words are meaningless." Hearing this, Mi Ji's originally nervous expression relaxed in an instant. She continued in a humble tone, "I don't know why you think so. If there's anything that makes you feel unsatisfied, just tell me. But I really didn't do it on purpose." Chapter 1031. Li Si Nai slightly knit his brows. He wanted to stop her, but he found that Nan Luo Zhe grabbed his hand. It's not like you don't know Luo Qingchen's personality. For her to challenge that new classmate in this situation, it means that she has a plan. Nan Luo Zhe narrowed his eyes as he looked at Mi Ji. This girl, she wasn't simple. On the other side, Luo Qingchen could clearly feel that Mi Ji wanted to agree, but she still pretended to refuse. I don't want to compete with you. Not to mention that you're injured, you shouldn't move too much." How obedient and gentle, but Luo Qingchen could see a different kind of sinister look in her eyes. "You don't want to or don't dare?" Luo Qingchen raised a brow and raised her voice. If this was her first mission, she might choose not to slap a smiling person. She would go to the infirmary to bandage her wounds and think about it, she would abuse her next time. But after experiencing so many worlds, she felt that if she didn't abuse a bad person, she would feel very uncomfortable. Especially when it was such a fake, and White Lotus supporting female lead. Io, why are you so arrogant? Xiao Hui is right, Miji, you should compete with her. It really is funny, you can't even see a girl doing well. That's right, isn't it just being hit? Not to mention that it didn't hit Su Xiao Xiao. Everyone whispered in low voices. They didn't forget to look at Li Si Nai not far away, afraid that he would suffer a calamity. But seeing that they didn't move, she became even more arrogant. Miji, I support you when you compete with her. Me too. I also support you. There were 5-6 boys who came out to speak for Miji, but the other men didn't say a word. Even Su Jing narrowed his eyes like he could see some clues. All right then. Miji's eyes lit up when she agreed, but she pretended to be very unwilling as she said, I'll just throw casually, you can also throw casually. The final rule was 10 balls and the person who threw the most balls was the winner. For the sake of fairness, each person had 1 ball. Everyone was a witness. Su Xiaoxiao looked at Han Zaishi anxiously. He looked indifferent and had no intention of stopping them. In his eyes, Luo Qingchen was a very strong person. She was the same when she beat people for him with a birthday knife and fork. In the blink of an eye, his phoenix eyes stunned everyone. At this moment she just wanted to be arrogant, so why should he stop her? System, exchange for guaranteed 3-point shot skill. Ding, 500 exchange points has been taken. Successfully exchanged for the 3-point shot skill. Out of so many planes, it was a little refreshing to have her compete in the first plane. In the future, she must make good use of these exchange points and learn how to play basketball. Miji was the first to score the first ball. She was a little nervous, but her dribbling and tossing of the ball were perfect and professional. Whoosh, with a parabolic curve, her first ball naturally went in. Wow, Miji! 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 The 5-6 boys all cheered. Luo Qingchen suddenly felt a bit of admiration for Miji. In just 1 or 2 classes she could make the people she talked to cheer for her like this. She really was a bit skilled. She casually came forward and took the basketball from Han Zaishi. She narrowed her eyes and didn't prepare to move at all. His right wrist was red and swollen, but he still managed to throw a perfect parabola. Chapter 1032. Wow, Luo Qingchen is so good. Such a casual shot and it went in. It looks like a 1-point shot, so easy. Of course, the onlookers did not include Xiao Hui and the others who were clapping for Miji. Their expressions were a little awkward at this moment, but they did not forget to cheer for Miji. Come on, Miji. Miji gritted her teeth, her expression a little ugly. She was the captain of the basketball team when she was abroad. She was 170 meters tall and her basketball skills were top-notch. Even those boys who were good at basketball could not help but praise her when they saw her. She had never lost in basketball before, so how could she lose to someone who had injured her wrist and looked like she did not have any athletic cells? Her professional advantage did not allow her to lose, and she definitely could not lose. She took a deep breath and took the basketball. Although the second ball was a little off, the basketball still rolled around the hoop and fell into the hoop. Yeah. Xiao Hui was still clapping for Miji a second ago, but Luo Qingchen had already casually shot the basketball into the hoop. There was no deviation at all, and it fell into the hoop steadily. This time, Miji was a little panicked. If Luo Qingchen's first shot was based on luck, then it was not so simple to get 2 consecutive shots. It was impossible for someone to have such skills, but she actually knew how to play basketball? Miji bit her lip. There were still 8 shots left, and it was a tie of 2-2. She had not lost yet. When she was abroad, it was not like she did not have the experience of scoring all 10 shots. Steady, she had to steady herself. Luo Qingchen laughed softly and looked sideways at Miji, a cold smile on her lips as she said in a low voice, "Don't struggle, you will definitely lose this declaration of war. Classmate Luo, it's good to be confident, but if you are too confident it will become conceited." She also lowered her voice, The sweetness and gentleness in her voice was replaced by a touch of coldness. "Ha ha!" She laughed coldly, looking at her with an absolute aura in her eyes. "I am conceited." In the next second, Mi-ji tiptoed slightly, raised the basketball with both hands and made a standard shot. But this time, although the basketball rolled twice in the basket, it didn't fall in like last time. In other words, Mi-ji did not hit the target. "Ah, what a pity!" It's okay. I'm just unlucky. I think this goal should have gone in." Don't worry. She might not even enter. Maybe she also, dong." Before Xiao Hui could finish his sentence, Luo Qingchen once again shot a beautiful three-pointer into the basket. At this moment, the boy who had been cheering for Mi-ji suddenly fell silent. Li Sinai, not far away, carefully looked over Luo Qingchen, standing in front of the three-point line. He suddenly felt a bit anxious, an inexplicable anxiety. She stood against the light, wearing a clean sports uniform. Her fair cheeks and clear eyes looked so dazzling. Ding, affection has increased by 10. Mission completion rate is now 60%. 10 minutes later, the 1v1 duel was over. Luo Qingchen beat Mi-ji 10-6, but those so-called supporters had all kinds of excuses for their goddess. "Mi-ji, you're very powerful. The 4 shots you missed were all on the edge of the basket. You're better than many of us here." Right, it was just a matter of luck. Chapter 1033. When Xiao Hui said this, Luo Qingchen's lips curled into a strange smile. It was very faint, but it looked very good. If they thought that she just wanted to show off her skills and wanted to 1v1 battle with Mi-ji, they were completely wrong. "You're called Xiao Hui, right? I heard that you're good at math, so I have a question for you today." Luo Qingchen crossed her arms and there was a unique aura in her eyes. Mi-ji was surprised as she looked a bit panicked. She didn't understand what Luo Qingchen wanted to say, but there was a faint uneasiness in her heart that made her palms covered in cold sweat. Xiao Hui was suddenly called out by Luo Qingchen and was a bit helpless. After all, Luo Qingchen normally only talked to Su Xiao. She almost never talked to anyone else. It wasn't that he didn't take the initiative to flatter her, but he was always coldly rejected. Over time, even if she was a beauty, he didn't have a good impression of her. But now that he was being asked this, he felt a bit embarrassed as he scratched the back of his head, asked, "This basketball hoop, how far is it from the chair we just sat on?" Luo Qingchen pointed at the chair they were sitting on as a dark glow appeared in her eyes. Li Sinai, Nan Luozhe, Han Zaizi, and Su Jing. The 4 of them were stunned at the same time. At the same time, they understood the goal of Luo Qingchen's 1v1 battle. But Xiao Hui didn't seem to understand. Around 5 or 6 meters. Xiao Hui looked at it before looking at her with a bit of embarrassment. What does this have to do with math? This was clearly a question for a 3-year-old child. How could she ask a math class representative like him? "Don't worry, I'm not done asking yet." Luo Qingchen's lips curled as she said, although classmate Mi-ji only scored 6 out of 10, she had a 100% chance of hitting the hoop, right? When Luo Qingchen said this, Mi-ji's expression changed. At this moment, she seemed to understand why Luo Qingchen wanted to compete with her in the hall. It wasn't just for her to make a fool of herself. The real purpose was for her to Xiao Hui also seemed to feel that something was wrong, but he didn't immediately react. At this moment, Luo Qingchen didn't give him any time to react. She picked up the basketball with her right hand, turned her back to the basket, and gently threw it. The moment the ball entered the basket, she was stunned and said, "What I want to ask you is, with her skills, what is the probability of her shooting 5 or 6 meters away from the bench?" Hiss! Everyone sucked in a breath of cold air. Mi-ji's face turned green and white, her lips trembling uncontrollably. "Luo Qingchen means that the new student did it on purpose?" At first, I felt that something was strange, but I couldn't put my finger on it. Now, it's as if I've done an experiment. Suddenly, it's simple and clear. Sigh, the saying that beautiful girls are scheming is really true. This time, the people who were whispering were the boys who were silent just now. Most of them were good basketball players. When Miji shot just now, they could more or less see some clues from the angle, but the speed was too fast, so they didn't care too much. But now, the answer seemed to be very clear. At this moment, Xiao Hui seemed very awkward. He mumbled and pursed his lips, not answering. Why isn't the math class representative saying anything? Is this kind of probability problem very difficult? Luo Qingchen didn't understand his awkwardness at all. Chapter 1034. The probability is very low. The probability is very low. Xiao Hui said it twice. His tone was not heavy, but his face was very ugly. After that, he turned around and left the playground, trotting away. After all, if he stayed here, it would be too humiliating. Of course, he was not the only one who would be humiliated. There was also Miji, the little white flower who had been pretending to be a white lotus, and said that she did not mean to do it. When Luo Qingchen's eyes fell on her face again, she bit her lips, and tears fell down instantly. She said sadly, "The game is different from usual. During the game, I am 10 times more serious than usual. Naturally, I am very focused. But usually I am also a person. I just throw casually. I'm sorry if I accidentally hurt you." Luo Qingchen frowned. Now, she had revealed her true colors. However, her few soft and emotional words were just right at this moment. She did not answer. Miji continued, "If you must think that I deliberately hit you, you can hit me back. But I don't want to be wronged like this." Luo Qingchen narrowed her eyes and thought, she is really a ruthless person. She is different from the previous aristocratic student. I still say the same thing. She narrowed her eyes and looked at her coldly. You and I both know very well whether you are wronged or not. Of course there were still sighs from the girls. But most of the boys expressed understanding. This was the difference in the brain circuits of boys and girls. It was obvious that she was a green tea bitch, but the boys still thought that this good-looking girl may not have done it on purpose. During the class break, Su Xiaoxiao and Han Zaishi accompanied her to the infirmary. The next class was the painting class. She probably could not attend it. "Thank you, Qingchen." Su Xiaoxiao looked at her with tears in her eyes and said, "You are so good to Xiaoxiao." It turned out that friendship, like family, could warm people's hearts. Don't mention it. Her hobby is to meddle in other people's business. Han Zaishi peeled an orange and put it into his mouth. He did not forget to insult Luo Qingchen. "No one will think you are mute if you don't talk. Ha ha ha, he hasn't changed at all after returning to China. He's so fierce." "Go back?" Su Xiaoxiao was stunned. She blinked and said, "Didn't Qingchen transfer from another city? Which country?" "Oh," Luo Qingchen winked at Han Zaishi as fast as she could and said, "This is the way they speak. It's probably because the distance between countries is relatively close, so for them, the city is the same as the country." Yes, she was talking nonsense with a straight face. What else could she do? She was also in despair. Su Er nodded and smiled seriously. "I understand, the situation is different." When she seriously listened to Luo Qingchen's nonsense, the two people at the side became even more embarrassed. "Oh right." In the next second, Luo Qingchen hurriedly changed the topic and said, "Hurry up and go to the next painting class. I heard that there's a painting expert coming today. It's a rare opportunity." "No, I'd better stay here with you." Su Xiaoxiao shook her head and said, "I'll feel bad." Luo Qingchen probably knew that people with depression were more or less paranoid. Looking at Su Xiaoxiao's expression, it was obvious that she would not leave. Then, she could only change to the Roman continent. Chapter 1035. Drawing class wasn't a required class, but it used to be a class and now it was F class. Every time there was a drawing class, there would be a bunch of little fans at the door watching their male god, Li Sinai. There were at least 100 people at the door. It wasn't an exaggeration. Luo Qingchen was seeing this scene for the first time, and she suddenly felt that Li Sinai was much more outstanding than she imagined. He didn't just seem like the arrogant youth, rather there was a bit of elegance and quietness to him. The elegance when playing the piano and the quietness when drawing. The drawing classroom was a casual seating area. Luo Qingchen came relatively late, so she sat in the last row with Su Xiao. Li Sinai seemed to feel a different gaze, so he suddenly turned and met her eyes. He slowly stood up and picked up his drawing board and pencil, walking over to Luo Qingchen step by step. Finally, he sat down in the empty seat beside her. At that moment, the little fans in the hallway began to chatter. There were all kinds of praise and criticism, but most of it was criticism. Luo Qingchen didn't hear it too clearly since they didn't dare speak too loudly with Li Sinai here. However, it was easy to guess that the same words were repeated over and over again. How could a commoner be with young Master Li? Why was there such a trash commoner? Thinking of this, Luo Qingchen couldn't help thinking, "You're called nobles, this treasure is a relative of the royal family." Dong! A slender pencil was tapped on her head. Luo Qingchen looked at Li Sinai in a daze. "Why did you hit me? Your drawing is this bad and you like to go off?" Li Sinai played with the pencil in his hand and wrote a large 0 on the blank space of her drawing paper. "Damn." Luo Qingchen bit her lip and said in an unconvinced voice, "The teacher didn't give me a 0, why did you give me a 0? She thought that Li Sinai sitting beside her like this was to show off their love or confess something. He had never thought that there would be no other drama between the two of them other than bickering with each other. Giving you a 0 for your drawing skills is already giving you face. Li Sinai gave a chuckle. He casually drew a few strokes on her sketch paper, creating a perfect Q print. Yes, a pig. Is there anything lower than 0? Luo Qingchen raised her eyebrows slightly and glanced at his drawing. Although he was still not convinced, his painting was really beautiful. Every stroke was full of strength. Clean but luxurious, Li Sinai pointed at Han Zi's painting sitting in front of Luo Qingchen with a bit of jealousy in his eyes. This is around a -100. He didn't know why such a person suddenly appeared and was so familiar with Luo Qingchen. They were like a couple, going in and out of every class together. Really? PFFF. Luo Qingchen couldn't help but laugh. Although Li Sinai seemed to be telling the truth, for Han Zi's young heart, it seemed like it had been greatly impacted. He knew that Li Sinai was talking about him, so he slowly turned his head and looked at Luo Qingchen with a depressed and aggrieved look. Am I really that ugly? AI, why did all the good-looking men in the world not like him? He just wanted to find true love, was it that hard?